kid looking back at the camera was the best part of that video.
This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Roberto, and the trade deadline has come and gone, and we're now entering the home stretch of the NHL season. Get excited, people, because the playoffs are just over a month away. So let's go big picture, puck. And the big picture we want to focus on is that this year is unlike in years past, because the playoff matchups are pretty much up in the air right now. Let's start in the Atlantic, because barring a collapse by Toronto, they are locked into that 3 spot, and we'll have a rematch of sorts on their hands for whoever finishes second. And right now, only 1 point separates Boston and Florida. The Buds have not faced the Bruins in the postseason since 2018-2019. But if we're looking at the regular season, they have not beaten Boston since 2022 and have lost 7 of their last 8 regular season games. If Boston were to win the Atlantic, then that would set the stage for a rematch with the Panthers, who dominated the Leafs in the second round last year.
We want Florida! We want Florida! We want Florida!
I hate that video so much because I just need everyone to understand, please, for the love of God, that that is just a tiny group of people inside Maple Leaf Square. They're just children. They're just babies, okay? They're like college kids. They're just being trolls, okay? That's not how most of Toronto felt. But sadly, will be the cloud that hangs over our heads until the end of time. And honestly, the way the Panthers are playing, you probably don't want Florida this year. They're currently in the driver's seat for the President's Trophy, and they've got the best goal differential and road record in hockey. Wait, I want none of them, and maybe this will be good for Leafs Nation, you know, because the opponents ahead of them are just so good that we should all be scared and not have some blind confidence like so many do. Moving to the Metro, the surging Hurricanes are just 2 points back of the Rangers for first. Carolina won the division 2 years running, and made arguably one of the biggest moves at the deadline by adding Jake Guentzel, who still hasn't played his first game with his new team yet though. The most surprising part of that division? The Islanders have won 6 straight, and it seems possible they could out Philly for the 3rd spot. New York is outscoring its opponents 30-11 in that streak, and Ilya Sorokin is 5-0 in his last 5 starts, with a .921 save percentage. Oh, West, the Pacific is fascinating, with the Oilers all but locked into that 2 spot. Where things get fun though, is not only who they'll face, but who the Canucks will get. Because if the playoffs started today, Vancouver would get Vegas, which is not a reward for a 1 seed. And bad news, Canucks fans, it looks like you'll be without Thatcher Demko for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Meanwhile, in the Central, we've got the only 3-team battle for first, with Winnipeg and Colorado within 4 points of Dallas. And all those teams are surging right now. All 3 also loaded up at the deadline. And now the Jets have to follow, you know what? I'm happy for you, Winnipeg. I really am. To the NFL, and the legal tampering period is officially here. And a ton has already gone down in the last 24 hours. Let's start with the biggest and most fresh news that literally just happened. Kirk Cousins is heading to Atlanta, as the former Viking signed a 4-year deal with the Falcons. And you guessed it, he's getting paid. Cousins had a great year last year before tearing his Achilles, throwing for just under 300 yards a game, with 18 touchdowns and 5 picks. And now heads to a Falcons team absolutely loaded with weapons. Although I feel like I'm going to say this a lot in this segment, the news does not stop there. Saquon Barkley, who's arguably the best running back on the board, isn't moving far as he remains in the NFC East, but moves from the Giants to the Eagles, getting a 3-year deal for $37.5 million, giving the Eagles even more firepower. And we also had some drama in Cincy, as receiver T. Higgins has requested a trade from the Bengals. According to Adam Schefter, Higgins wanted to get a long-term deal done with Cincy, but the two have not had any talks. Here's Schefter with more.
While T. Higgins wants to be in Cincinnati, planned to be there long-term, love the city, he's not happy with his contractual situation.
And that's not all. We got Tony Pollard to the Titans. Friend of the show, Dion Dawkins, got a huge deal to stay in Buffalo. DeAndre Swift to the Bears. And another friend of the show, David Bakhtiari, was released by the Packers. And one more for you, Michael Pittman, who was tagged, signed a 3-year, $70 million deal to stay in Indy. And we're still not done there. Christian Wilkins to the Raiders, Gabe David to the Jags, and pass rusher Jonathan Grenard is going to the Vikings. That's a lot. You catch your breath yet? Now, all of that is just from today. But we also had some major news last night, as Russell Wilson is a Steeler. He's signing for the veteran minimum of only $1.2 million. And the reason he can take so little is because the Broncos are still paying him $39 million for the season. How can we make this work for our own lives, you know? How do we, normal humans, how do we get money from our old jobs but still work in our new jobs? This is what I want. I want residuals. Wilson will now compete with Kenny Pickett for a starting job in the Steel City. Say what you will about Russ, but when the salary cap is $255 million, there's literally zero downside to signing Wilson for that price. But now this brings us to Justin Fields, as Pittsburgh was one of the teams potentially mentioned as a new landing spot. And now that ship has sailed for Fields.
What about Justin Fields? It certainly doesn't look like the Steelers gave him serious consideration, and they were more intent upon getting Russell Wilson at the team-friendly deal that they did.
The other QB news that came Sunday was from Baker Mayfield, as he'll be back in Tampa signing a 3-year deal for $100 million with about half of it guaranteed. But the deal can get to $115 if he hits all of his incentives. Then there's Mac Jones, who was traded to the Jags for a 6th-round pick over the weekend. And it seems that the only thing dropping more than his actual value is the value of his rookie card, as according to Collectibles Guru on Twitter, the card has dropped 99.6% of its value and holds the record as largest percentage lost in sports card history. Imagine you're one of the guys that paid top dollar for that card. Oof. That's a rough gamble, baby. Also, kind of embarrassing. To the association, and sorry Raps fans, it does not get any easier tonight. Toronto is in Denver for the third of their 4-game road trip, and the Raps have dropped 3 straight and are a league worst 1-5 over the last couple weeks. And as per usual, it's been awful defense, as they're near the bottom of the league in most defensive categories. And we got some injury news for the Raps. They will be without Emmanuel Quickly, Chris Boucher, and Gary Trent Jr. tonight. And it's not going to be easier tonight against MVP frontrunner Nikola Jokic. He's currently minus 170 to win his 3rd in 4 years, with Canadian Shai Gilgeous-Alexander right behind him at plus 250. And looking at the stats, it's easy to see why Jokic is the favorite. And look at those numbers. This guy's a cheat code. But looking at the standings, the Thunder currently hold the 1 seed. And who ends up the top seed usually plays a factor in the MVP. The title odds tell a different story though, as Denver has the 2nd shortest odds to win the championship at plus 420, with only Boston ahead of them at plus 210. And if you watched these 2 teams play last week, maybe our friends at FanDuel got this one wrong. Time now for my favorite segment and yours, Why We Love Sports Today.
Why we love sports today.
And let's watch this slow-mo beauty one more time. This catch. Here we go. Oh, wow, ow, oh, the bench, ow, oh, he's sitting on it, okay, it's falling over, ooh, that was the smoothest thing I've ever seen. The recovery, holy smokes, that was 11 out of 10. And we finished with something near and dear to my heart, with kids getting hurt. Not really hurt though, just like funny hurt, okay, where everyone's still good.
Come on, go get it. Come on, run around. Okay. Oh, go get it.
Oh,
Go get it. Go get it.
What a run though, what a route. Ow. Honestly, that's also me trying to catch a football, so I feel like the kid did better. That's all for today. We'll see you right back at your mouth 3 Eastern. No Pacific. Have a good one.